Good evening. Today is Tuesday, March 13th. It's about 5:31 p.m. in the evening. This is a meeting of Recreation and Parks Committee. To my left is Mr. Terwilliger. Mrs. Oda is on this committee as well, but she's not here today, and I am the chair, Brock Heath. Looks like we've got a couple different items that we're going to be talking about. Mr. T, would you like to begin with the first one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks.
The first one is requesting a recommendation to council to bid the golf course, Miami Shores Golf Course Clubhouse renovation project in an amount not to exceed $1.71 million. By way of background, the clubhouse was constructed in the late 1940s. It's 60 years old. There have been at least 2 additions to that building over the years. I believe the most recent one was 1986-87. The 2018 budget was passed to include money to renovate, as well as do maybe 2 other smaller projects related to the golf course. The park board approved, or is unanimously recommending, I guess, to council at their March 6th meeting that council give us the authorization to bid. The project would include tearing off the roof, which again, since it's been added on to 2 or 3 different times, the roof line is not cohesive, if you will. It's not the architectural term, but it's best I can come up with. So part of the project would be to tear off the roof, rebuild the roof with one consistent roof line. It's also to replace and upgrade the mechanical systems, which are vintage, not up to code, add IT capabilities that are not there as well. It would move the pro shop over to the area, I want to say it's the, what?
West.
The west
West
side?
side.
Is that it? Yeah. To the west side from the east side. On the east wall of the current kitchen dining area. Create a multi-purpose area that will seat, I believe, up to 130 folks. And then can be partitioned off into smaller space. So multi-purpose, meaning that even if it's not golf related, the facility could be rented out for other organizations, other events, other uses. The kitchen would be, of course, moved over into that area, new equipment, new seating, etc. The restrooms would be redesigned and updated as well. Landscaping, outside work, the exterior of the building would be updated. Also, you have some placards around that show what the idea is, and then we'd also like to, as I guess an alternate, as part of this bid, hopefully to come within the 1.71 million, would be to overlay the parking lot, fix any repairs that need to be made there, and then that way we have a new looking parking lot as well. Kyler, the new golf pro, director of golf, as well as Ken Green, Kyler Boer and Ken Green, who has been, of course, our retired superintendent, but also very much involved with the project, is here in the audience, as well as Jill Rhodes, city engineer, in case you have any more detailed questions. But again, we are recommending that you authorize, you recommend to council that we get the authorization to go out to bid.
Thank you. It sounds like this is pretty extensive. What's left after this? What do we still have to do to the building after this?
We shouldn't have to do anything to the building. I guess one of the things that I did not mention is that It will reshape and expand the outside porch, the outside seating area as well. But beyond that, I think that upgrade, well, it does upgrade the building. If we can do the parking lot at the same time, that would be great as well. A side project that's being worked on is adding the driving range, which would be available in 2019. The idea here would be to close the clubhouse after Labor Day, to start construction, to get the roof off, to start the truss work as quickly as possible, and then be able to reopen for the 2019 season in the spring.
Nice. Perfect. So there wouldn't be really any loss of time at all with that time frame, which is nice. We put money in the budget. Do you know how much money we put in the budget? Is this going over what we had in there?
No, this is under the total allocation was $2 million.
Okay, right. So we're well under that.
We're well under it,
Right.
but also we want to do the driving range work as well as possibly some other amenities out there, but not related to the building itself.
So it sounds like we're really taking care of the building in all aspects, everything we pretty much wanted to do with it, and it's within the budget that we already have set up. Perfect. Do you have any questions, Mr. Terwilliger?
One, this is something I'm looking forward to seeing, the improvement of the facilities. A question is, with the increase, with the improvements to the building, is there any consideration, if we're going to make the inside available for rental receptions, luncheons thing, is there any consideration for expanding the season of that building? Not necessarily the golf course, but the rental potentials for in the building. And secondly, if we're lucky enough to be able to resurface or coat the parking lot, I know one of the things Ken had talked about was tournaments, and having been involved in high school tournaments, buses show up, and buses eat up parking spots. Is there any consideration for, would be to the west of the current parking lot, creating an additional parking space?
So the first question is yes. The first answer, I guess, is yes to your question regarding use of the building. I mean, the staff is there year-round, even though the golf course might be closed to play during the winter season. And so that is definitely something that's under consideration, number one. Number two, the design work that was done did not include any expansion to the parking lot. There may be some improved wayfinding when you come off of Staunton Road, but as far as expanding the amount of pavement, there's nothing involved there. However, that does not mean that we couldn't look at that as we get into more and more activity and use.
Okay, that's it.
Good. No more questions from you, Mr. Terwilliger?
Nope.
Okay. We've got other city council members here today. Or do you have any questions regarding this?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Phillips? Yep.
Along the lines, in fact, I'm glad Mr. Terwilliger brought up those items because they were on my mind also. But as along the lines of year-round use, the meeting room, which is on the north side of the building, what's the occupancy number of that? I know that there's a 105 number.
Remember was when you partitioned it off, it's around 30.
That's
So
about
you
it
got
for
the smaller
seating?
area, yes, for occupancy.
Got it.
Based on, I think, round tables is what they were doing. He was using as, the architect was using, yes.
Okay. So that means that we would, another question also is along that line of another entity to possibly take over the kitchen restaurant, much as we did at the Boathouse. You know, not at that level or whatever, but some other entity to operate that on a year-round basis. We did talk about that. It's been some time ago. but has there been any further discussion on that?
Not in any level of detail yet. However, one of the avenues that I know we'll have more conversation around is the arena operations and, building off of what they've done, whether that means contracting out or expanding their operations. Right now, we do have a contract with a lady, or is that a direct employee? Direct employee, okay, that does that. So those are things that we'll talk about, and I know the park board will want to get more detailed, or more involved as the project progresses.
And what's the total build time, the construction time? Was it about 90 days, 120 days?
No, 6-7 months, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna close down September 1st and get the temporary building set up, and then they hope to start right after Labor Day.
So we'll have some type of trailer or something in the parking lot to operate as the pro shop?
It'll
or-
be a temporary building.
Got it.
That we can also use, when we're done with it, and take it down and use for the driving range. So it'll serve two purposes.
Okay, and I heard you say 2019 for the driving range being usable, open, is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
The start of the season in 19?
Matter of fact, it would probably start landscaping, I would say in August, because they'll probably want to get it seeded by the end of September, so that it's grown in by April 1st.
Great, okay, thank you. That's all I have, but I do want to comment on Mr. Green. He is an outstanding director of golf, outstanding professional. He's done a wonderful job in his position with our city, and he's just a great guy. And I want to applaud him for all of the work he's done in the past years and in this project, and we're sad to see him go, but, retirement's a fun time, so. I need a golf partner on Wednesday league, so.
You're lobbying again for a 9 o'clock tee time. Stop.
Thanks, Ken.
But I do think you're all going to be very happy with Kyler. I wish I had his smarts. Great individual, great person, and I'm sure he's going to do a great job for everybody.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that also, so.
No pressure, Kyler.
Yeah. Feeling the pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Bobby, why didn't you ask me to be your golf partner?
I've
Doesn't
heard
really
about
bad.
how you play.
You know, teach me how to hold the thing?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Got to know what a
Mr.
golf is first.
I've heard of it once. Mr. Lutz?
All the questions I would have asked have already been answered.
Thank you. Looks like we've got Madam President in the audience, and she's coming up.
One of the items that we brought up, or that was brought up during our priorities session, was the miniature golf course type of thought. Is that being considered at all out? I know it's not in this immediate project, but is that being considered at all out there if long-term?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Looks like we've got the mayor in the crowd as well. No questions from him. Are there any other questions from anyone in the audience, including city staff? Looks like we don't have any. How would you like to move forward?
Move forward?
Okay, looks like we're going to move, recommendation to move forward on that item.
We are not asking for emergency legislation.
Okay, perfect. Good, thank you, appreciate it. Looks like we've got another item. Do you mind running over some information on that?
The Troy Mountain Bike Organization was recently given permission by the Board of Park Commissioners to hold a 24-hour race out at Duke Park. We are asking for council authorization to sign notwithstanding legislation to accommodate that, given that the park is closed, I believe at dusk is when we close. And since there would be an overnight, there would be some camping, there would not be any fires or flames, there would not be any alcohol, anything like that. But since it does vary from our park ordinance, we would need notwithstanding legislation to accommodate that. The dates of the event would be July 14th and 15th.
Perfect.
And maybe the night before as people come in
Okay.
getting ready for the event.
So we'll just clear this the night before, and then that night of the 14th, 15th, they're all going to be out, or are they going to be there
It should
15th?
be clearing out on
In
the
the night.
15th
Okay.
during the day.
Perfect. Any questions on that?
And this is not a precedent-setting event. Camping has been permitted within the city
Correct.
for other activities.
Yes, a few years ago, there was an overnight event out at Duke Park, and I believe there was some camping that was involved. I think it was less formal than this, but it's happened before. And of course, Community Park has hosted GOBA a number of times as well.
No more questions?
Nope.
I assume they're going to be responsible for cleanup and all of that. Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions from other council members here? Madam President? You guys good on that side?
Once, please.
Yes.
So would the notwithstanding request need to be changed to July 13th then instead of 14th?
It may, depending on working out the details with the organization, but what you see finally will accommodate that event, which is the point, because we do want to go overnight.
Well, do you know anything about whether they would have concession trailers or anybody selling food or doing anything like that? Or is the expectation they'll just bring in what they use? Bring in what they use and take out what they,
Correct.
okay. That's all I have, thank you.
Good. Thank you. I don't see any other questions from council members. Any questions or comments from city staff or anyone else in the audience? Looks like none. What do you think?
Move forward.
Move forward? And you don't need emergency on this either. Right. Looks like we're going to move forward, recommend that to move forward as well. I think that's the second item and final item for us. Do you have anything else to come before us?
No, sir.
Okay, then we are adjourned. Thank you.